acceptance of Jesus Christ as Savior, and the personal application of his blood to cleanse all sin. Because of his firm stand against the and enemies, sinful life and his complete opposition to the halfway covenant, Edwards made many enemies, even in his own congregation. In 1750, Edwards was discharged from his pulpit. He spent the next 8 years as a missionary to the local Indians. Jonathan Edwards' greatest achievement was undoubtedly his book, A Careful and Strict Inquiry into the Modern Prevailing Nations of that Freedom of Wit. This volume of Christian philosophy and profound theology sets him apart as one of the great minds of his day. Before 1735, the American Awakening had been a series of loosely connected, but basically independent, local rivals. In the 1735, however, George Whitefield, the English Methodist companion of John and Charles Wesley, arrived in the colonies and exacted a unified influence on the efforts of the American revivalists. The various revivalists became the Great Awakening between 1738 and 1769. Whitefield visited America 7 times and literally preached the length and breadth out of the country. Wow. Wherever Whitefield preached, great revival broke out. His influence on the English colonies is absolutely beyond measure. Between 25,000 and 50,000 people were added to the church rolls in New England alone. Over 150 new churches were established in the same area, and all this occurred in a population of 300,000. Thousands more in the southern and middle colonies became believers and were baptized. A higher moral tone became noticeable in the homes, work, and amusements of the people. A spirit of true conversion stirred the land. The results of the Great Awakening were manifold. Many Christian colleges were founded to train men to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. The great missionary efforts were started, especially among the local tribes of American Indians. Orphanages were established and hundreds of kindred Christian works were begun. The Great Awakening changed the basic attitudes of people who had grown morally and spiritually callous, and it helped them face the hardships of the French and Indian War. Yes, sir, the French and Indian War. Okay, let's continue. So, sorry about that. In addition to the proselytization among the eastern seaboard Indians by Wesley, Spangenberg, and Edwards, the most noteworthy missionary work of the Great Awakening period was accomplished by a young David Brainerd. Born and raised in Haddam, Connecticut, Brainerd began his education at Yale University, but he was unjustly expelled. Due to his experience, Brainerd decided to devote his life to mission work, and he became a representative of Scottish society for the propagation of Christian knowledge. This Presbyterian mission board sent David Brainerd among the Indians of Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Brainerd devoted the remainder of his abbreviated life to this work. Even though his body was racked with tuberculosis, Brainerd rode horseback many miles through the snow to bring the gospel to his Indian parishioners. Brainerd became engaged to Jonathan Edwards' daughter, but he never lived to marry her. Brainerd died in Edwards' home in 1747, a victim of tuberculosis and sheer exhaustion. Imagine dying because you're tired. You have to be a workaholic for that. He was 29 years old when he died. David Brainerd's inspiring life and death aroused an even greater interest in Indian missions. Chief among the mission workers